in the philosophical tradition of liberal arts, and Cicero on friendship withstands in the rhetorical and moral tradition. With this background in mind, the reader can see in Ulysses a distortion of both strains of liberal learning. Ulysses seeks knowledge, but by means of a reckless transgression of limits. His oratory, so-called brief speech, to his aged companions, transfigures oratory into deceptive counsel. The consequences of this distortion are not inconsequential: death, but also failing his family and the polity of Ithaca. Emphatically, we don't want to make the opposite mistake of the Romantics who read Dante and Ulysses as of one mind on the question of the value of human knowing. Dante's interpretive distance from Ulysses should not be taken to the extreme of making Dante into a moralist, wagging his finger at the transgressions of Ulysses. Rather, both in the case of Ulysses and Adam, Dante suggests an important question: whether knowledge can be gained without transgression, and if so, how? Dante's answer, it seems, is the pathway to knowledge and wisdom taken by St. Thomas, and by a commitment to an education gained by following the circuit of knowledge comprised of the liberal arts disciplines. A final point from the Commedia relevant to 21st century concerns emerges from the encyclopedism of the Commedia and returns us to the consequence attendant upon the current devaluation of liberal learning. A core principle of the encyclopedic genre is the intrinsic unity and interconnectedness of knowledge and reality. The importance of this interrelation of knowledge was underscored recently by Pope Francis in his encyclical letter, Laudate Si. While in this letter, Pope Francis acknowledged the undeniable benefits of a technical education, he also raised concerns about a knowledge society wherein technical knowledge is valued at the cost of the sort of broad and unified view of reality typified by the circle of liberal arts. He writes, "The specialization which belongs to technology makes it difficult to see the larger picture. The fragmentation of knowledge proves helpful for concrete applications, and yet it often leads to a loss of appreciation for the whole, for the relationships between things, and for the broader horizon, which then becomes irrelevant. This very fact makes it hard to find adequate ways of solving the more complex problems of today's world, particularly those regarding the environment and the poor. These problems cannot be dealt with from a single perspective or from a single set of interests. A science which would offer solutions to the great issues would necessarily have to take into account the data generated by other fields of knowledge, including philosophy and social ethics. But this is a difficult habit to acquire today," says the Pope. Later in the encyclical, in the context of discussing the interrelation between the natural world and human economy, culture, and society, Pope Francis pointed out that the balkanization of knowledge in the service of a technocracy can actually lead to the opposite of knowledge, a kind of deficit of intellect. Francis writes, "The fragmentation of knowledge and the isolation of bits of information can actually become a form of ignorance unless they are integrated into a broader vision of reality." What to do? For me, one antidote to such ignorance is the daily reading of the Commedia.
It seemed like our speakers knew their limits and they were extremely on time. guess there is time for questions. Yes.
I'd like to link both of your speeches. One is the intelligence and wisdom and what he was trying to say. And the other is the number 3. Nobody talked about mathematics at Dante. Nobody talked about mathematics in the Matrix. At least he was wrong because they forgot about love. The Divine Comedy is all about love, all about God's love. And to prove it, he framed it in the Trinity. There's 33 chapters each, 3 long verses, 33 words each verse. So the number 3 is everywhere. Number 11 is the disciples. That word. That about Jesus. So I just want to talk about that, the numerization. The number 3 for 3 women who never saw love, never experienced it. Ulysses didn't know about love. He was chasing wisdom. But he talks about all this in the Trinity, in the poetic form that he created. First poetic form. I just thought it was fascinating. Thank you.
I don't know.
Of course, numbers had a symbolic meaning in Dante, and to a large extent, that symbolic meaning is lost to us. I mean, we can learn about it when we study Dante's culture and how he constructed it, he built up the Divine Comedy, but the enormous symbolic investment, I would say, that is associated with numbers, especially in La Vita Nuova, where Beatrice is the number 9. The number 9 because it's the square of 3, and the 4 is the perfection of perfection. And to say that number 9 is a symbol of Beatrice is something that we can understand, but to say that Beatrice is number 9, it requires a leap that we cannot possibly we cannot do anymore, because we have detached numbers from their symbolism. This is a kind of immediate association that was lost after the Renaissance, when chemistry took over. So the quantitative sciences took over qualitative sciences like ancient medicine or alchemy. And of course, the quantification of science created modern science. So it's not that we want to go back, but there's something that we have lost in that passage. And it's something that we need always to remember and explain, that numbers to Dante are like people in a way.
I mentioned in my remarks about the liberal arts, and the second part of liberal education, the quadrivium, is all about numbers, or it's about the measures of time and space. And so in the Canto in Paradiso that I referred to, where Thomas steps forward out of the circle, Dante begins at the beginning of that canto. It's when Dante is marveling at the design of the universe, which signals, he does it in ways that can be interpreted arithmetically. So I think that's built in, and I think one of the things we talk about liberal education is we almost always today reduce it to the humanities, but in the classical understanding, it's language, and then it's science, the science of number, the science of space.
Can you hear?
Yes, yes.
Going back to what you were saying about the tripartite of grammar, logic, and rhetoric, Marshall McLuhan in the early 60s said, in the future, style will triumph over content. It seems that the rhetoric is beginning to overshadow the content. And it seems that you're
talk seems, excessive or flattery, and dismiss it as mere rhetoric, forgetting this incredibly important tradition of rhetoric as a way of eloquence. I mean, you can know something, you can be learned, but how well can you express it? We don't like rhetoric attached. I don't think rhetoric attached with substance. But it's interesting that you mentioned Marshall McLuhan at St. Thomas. As you know, the University of St. Thomas was founded by the Basilian Fathers. Marshall McLuhan was nicknamed the Civilian Basilian. Really, because he had studied with the Basilians. And he was, in fact, I think, a major force entering and talking about and a kind of godfather of our media age. But the style of the substance, you can see it everywhere. A lifestyle, not a life well lived, but a lifestyle.
Well, now that I can add a lot to it, except that, of course, McLuhan wrote his dissertation on Renaissance rhetoric and the importance of Cicero in English Renaissance rhetoric. And media studies are rhetoric studies. It's just another way to call it. But definitely, we are studying rhetoric all the time, even when we don't call it that name. When we analyze political speeches, when we look at how debates are held on TV, we are actually fulfilling what McLuhan had in mind. It's a pity that not many people seem to remember him at the moment, because when I have to mention McLuhan in my courses, and no students has ever heard of him, and it seems that even in communication departments, it's a forgotten name. But yes, he said many crazy things, of course. We know that. But he was a fountain of ideas, and we are still using his ideas even when we don't mention him.
It's time for a McLuhan revival.
Yes.
It seems like in this fragmentation, as technology expands and subdivides, it fragments to the point that you can't see the whole. And so you have to rely on generalities, and generalities lead you down a strange path. It seems like politicians all say the same sort of things, that they're just, it's all generalities, it's all the buzzwords that seem to get them elected. And we just forget we have this collective amnesia that they have no intention, or very little intention, or very little ability to fulfill all of these generalities that they pull out.
I was just curious with the challenge of translating Dante into English. There are many translations. Longfellow, Carey, probably being the two more well-known ones. I was just wondering which ones you would recommend for getting at the substance of Dante without losing the artistic quality of Dante.
Difficult question, yes. First, complete English translation of Dante appeared in England in 1805, and then it was followed by what many people, including me, but I'm not an authority on the subject, think it's the best translated fragment of Dante into English, which is Percy Shelley's translation of the Matilda episode in Purgatorio. And in fact, it has a sublime quality, that Shelley's translation, but it's only one episode. Then there have been so many translations, and many of them are still, they can say something to us. Even Longfellow translation, which can be unreadable for under many, from many points of view, but it has a music that has never been repeated, although it's a music that maybe it sounds quaint to us. I am particularly attracted to Mandelbaum's translation because, not just because we were friends, but because he knew Italian very well. I mean, he spoke Italian perfectly. And this cannot be said about all the English or American translators of Dante. I like Robert Pinsky's Inferno, but I know that Robert Pinsky worked on other translations and reworked other translations because he doesn't know Italian. In fact, when his translation was introduced at Harvard University several years ago, the person from the publisher who introduced him made an interesting mistake. Said, here we have Robert Pinsky, who had the courage to translate the Divine Inferno from Latin. Yeah, certainly had courage to do that because nobody had ever done that before. So yes, there are several good translations. Mark Musa, I would say, Mark Musa definitely, Mandelbaum, and the others are okay because they are poetic exercises, like Pinsky and several others. So I think they can be useful because working on Dante is definitely a great exercise for every poet. But Mandelbaum is the closest to the Italian phrasing. So sometimes it may not seem English enough, but it's not literal. It's not literal, but it really follows the text in a way that other translators may have not.
I would, in fact, when I was giving two different translations of that line about
Dorothy Sayers, I forgot Dorothy Sayers.
Yeah, that line about the seed. I had to the translation. The first one I used was from Hollander, who doesn't use it to translate the word correctly. I mean, his wife is being poetic, but I had to amend them all to be able to see the correct translation. But I favor Mark Musa, his translation, and that one. But I love them all.
the Italian Cultural and Community Center, which are also providing the refreshments after the event. Dr. Aquila, Dr. Carrera, Dr. Behr, thank you so much. Please make sure you register your contact information up at the front desk so we can let you know of our future beautiful events. Please join us for a reception. Thank you.